Week 10 is upon us, folks. Yes, that's right. That's 10 weeks of the college football season already wrapped up, or almost wrapped up. Normally, right now, I'd be telling you how sad I am that the season's coming to an end, but guess what? It's week 1 in the Pac-12. It's week 3 in the Big Ten, and we have a whole lot more football left coming up. We got 2 marquee matchups this weekend, 2 games that kind of rise above the rest. Massive playoff implications. That's Georgia versus Florida, and that's Clemson versus Notre Dame. That is Matt the Tiger, Matt the Longhorn. That is Connor the Red Raider, and I'm Andrew the Aggie. This is College Football Platinum. Let's start off with one of our marquee matchups here. We got Clemson Notre Dame, as big a game as you'll see this year. I mean, you can't have bigger implications in the playoff picture than a rank 1 versus rank 4, rank 2 versus rank 4, depending on where you're looking, or rank 3. No, it's rank 4. But anyway, Clemson, Matt, go ahead and tell us how the team's feeling this week. Tell us what's going on. How's the ukulele? How's he going to look? I think he's going to look great. What do you think?
Well, I think he's going to look good, but we got some bad news a few hours ago. Defensive lineman Tyler Davis and our starting linebacker Mike Jones is out, unfortunately. Tyler Davis really hurts because he pretty much stops the run. So without him, it's going to be much harder because Notre Dame has a pretty good rushing offense. But as for the ukulele, I'm pretty confident in him. I'd rather have him than Ethan Book. But overall, I think it's going to be a really, really close game. And I think we're going to pull it out. I can expand on it, but I want to get the other two people's perspective on it.
Yeah, I think he's going to look great. Matt, what do you think?
No, I don't think he's going to look – I mean, he'll look good, but he's going to take his lumps because this is his first road start at Notre Dame. I know the crowd won't be crazy, but this is also a good defense that Notre Dame has. They're not the most explosive offense, but they're good at defense and good at running the ball with their O-line. So no, I don't expect Ukulele to do that well. But then again, I think he'll do well enough to win. So we'll see.
That's kind of how I feel about it. I feel like it is going to be a close game. Clemson hasn't been very impressive the last 2 weeks, right? I mean, I think you'd agree with that, Wilson. I mean, as far as Clemson standards go, but y'all still have the talent. Y'all have the players around. I'm going to try it. Uyunglele. You have the talent around him to make him look good.
You just say DJ.
I know. I feel like that's cheating, though. I got to try my ukulele. See, that wasn't there. But, yeah,
ukulele,
I think the ETN factor really helps him out. Just having that basically pocket ace wherever you need him. It could be blocking. It could be definitely in the passing game. He's one of y'all's best receivers for sure. But Connor, as a Red Raider, looking in on this game, what are you hoping to see?
I've got very mixed feelings about this game because I think that it's not going to be like a completely pointless thing, but I mean, Notre Dame would still be fighting against Clemson, so it'd still be, if they win, it'd still be a good win. It'd still probably be their best win of the season, but it's against a Clemson team that is like missing its best player and missing some very good players on defense as well. So it's still a good look if Notre Dame wins, but I don't think it's as good as it could be. I mean, taking Trevor Lawrence out, who's arguably the best player in college football. What did you say earlier, Wilson? One of the defensive linemen's out. One of the starting linebackers is out.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just don't get me wrong. It's going to be a great look, but it's not going to be as good as if Clemson was completely healthy.
Yeah, I didn't know about those defensive players being out. Wilson. It's kind of crazy that Clemson can lose Trevor Lawrence, and I still feel pretty confident that they're at least going to compete in this game. I mean, how many teams can lose a generational quarterback on just randomly to COVID?
Yeah, I want to also expand on my prediction too.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go for it.
Brian Kelly, coach of Notre Dame, said this isn't the be-all, end-all, which I thought was an interesting comment. because this is their best chance at getting us without Trevor Lawrence, without our defensive lineman. Xavier Thomas, one of our starter, he's out for the first half because of targeting. Justin Foster, he's another defensive lineman. He's been out all year. So I feel like that was a strange comment to make because it's one of those situations like, if not now, when? Because we're going to have Trevor back in the ACC championship. I figure we'll be there, and I think Notre Dame will be there too. But if they can't get us here, I don't think they can at all. I think this is different because it's first time all the pressure's on them. Because for us, I think we can lose this game as long as it's respectable and still get into the playoff. Notre Dame, if they lose to us without Trevor Lawrence, you can't really feel good about their chances in the ACC championship. But as for my feelings on the game, I think it's going to be really close. I think it comes down to stopping their running game. Without the defensive lineman, it hurts. But I think the thing that's going to hurt Notre Dame the most is Ian Book. He's a decent quarterback, but he does not throw the ball vertically down the field very well. I was reading some Notre Dame blogs. They're kind of tired of him. They're annoyed. So I think that's going to be the big one. If Notre Dame can get like big, 7 yards, 8 yards on first down, they're going to have a chance and we'll be in some trouble. But if we can win first down, make Ian Book throw the ball, 3rd and long, 3rd and 10, things like that, I think we'll be fine. As for on offense, Notre Dame has a really good defense. I expect we're going to struggle to run the ball like we do every week. We're just going to have to find a way to get Travis Etienne the ball in the passing game, which we do really well. And I think we're going to find a way to just score enough points. We'll win something like 24-17, something like that. That's my prediction.
Connor, give us a quick breakdown and a prediction real quick.
Sorry, just to kind of go off like what Wilson was saying. So I think that if Notre Dame beats Clemson right now, I think that they're pretty good for a lock for maybe like the number 4 spot. But if they lose to this Clemson team right now, I don't think there's any way, no matter how they do for the rest of the season, that you could possibly put them in the playoff picture. Yeah, I think that Wilson's probably pretty close to like that 24-17 game. That's kind of what I'm expecting too. I'm expecting ETN to get the ball a lot, and you're probably going to try to make it as easy for the ukulele as you possibly can.
Yeah, you're kind of describing like a nightmare scenario for my Aggies. I mean, if Notre Dame wins this game somehow, I mean, they could, and then Trevor Lawrence is back in the ACC championship, and you're talking about probably like a rank 4, rank 5 Clemson team versus if Notre Dame wins that after this, what is Notre Dame the number 1, number 2? I mean,
Yeah.
if Notre Dame were to lose or if Clemson were to beat Notre Dame in the rematch, I mean, would the loser still not make the playoff? I mean, how's that going to happen? Matt, do you have any insight on that?
Me?
No, Myers.
Okay.
Yeah, this game's kind of like house money, if you will. I mean, if you win it, you're pretty much like set up to if you win the rest of your games and play close in the playoffs, especially for the Clemson side, play close in the ACC championship, you'll probably get that 4 seed because there's not really a team emerging as like the 4th best team in the country yet, and has a chance to do that. But yeah, like Wilson said, there's not much pressure on Clemson because they could lose this game and then avenge it and get in. And I think the same for Notre Dame. So it's a whole weird wrench into this thing, which is cool because Notre Dame's in the ACC this year. But yeah, I mean, I don't know how the team's temperature are going to be like pressure wise because Brian Kelly came out and said that like it's not end all be all. So I don't know. That'll be fun to see.
But it's like if you can't win at home with our injuries, no Trevor Lawrence, how can you win with Trevor Lawrence back in the neutral site?
Yeah, how could you beat a crippled team when you're at home? And I mean, that's what he said.
I think all the pressure is on Notre Dame.
But one thing that I was thinking is, if Notre Dame does beat them this time, what would they be? Would you move Bama up to 1, Notre Dame 2, maybe Clemson is
There's
I
no way
don't
Notre
know,
Dame's
man.
better than
How
Alabama.
do you? Yeah, I mean that'll be the most impressive win of the year so far if Notre Dame manages to beat Clemson.
Yeah.
Without Trevor, just no. As I say it, maybe without Trevor, maybe the Georgia win was a little bit more impressive. I guess that'll by
Yeah. The one last thing that I wanted to comment on was, do we think that if Notre Dame beats this Clemson team, are they number one? And then if Clemson loses to this Notre Dame team, are they still in the top four? Because I still think that Clemson's the most stacked team, but they did lose. So you have to put them outside of number one, but you still keep them in the top four.
So-
and then I don't know if this Notre Dame win would be more impressive than would put them above like Bama.
So let me ask you this: is it as impressive that this is exactly what I was just thinking? But then I thought this: is it as impressive if they're defeating a team that is missing their best player? Is it
That's
still
what I'm
as
saying.
impressive? Is that more impressive, or is Alabama's pulling away ahead of Georgia more impressive? I mean, those are two that are up for debate, but I tend to agree with you. I think even without Lawrence, it's still the most impressive win of the year. It has to be,
DJ
right?
is better than Stetson Bennett. I'll say that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's definitely true.
Who's number 3, by the way? I'm sorry.
I think
Ohio
Ohio State.
State. I think.
Ohio State.
Yeah.
So I think that you put Bama at 1, Ohio State at 2, Notre Dame 3, and Clemson 4. I guess.
Yeah.
That's my best guess.
I almost want to say that
that
Clemson or Notre Dame could pass Ohio State, but anyway,
maybe.
Matt, prediction on the game, Matt?
Yes. So I do see this game being very close. I think Clemson will play well, but I think Notre Dame will know, whether Brian Kelly says it or not, that this is like their best chance to beat Clemson and build that resume for the playoff. So I think at home, everybody's picking Clemson because DJ looked great. But I will take Notre Dame here. I think their offensive line, which is the strength of their team, that's what it's going to come down to. Clemson's D line versus Notre Dame's O line, and I think Kyron Williams and company will be able to run the ball, play a little ball control, and then get a close one at home. But I do expect Clemson to beat the crap out of them in the ACC championships, and I don't think Notre Dame will make the playoff if they get blown out in the ACC championship. So I'll take the Irish here, but I think it'll be settled in December.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. You don't think the Ian Book theatrics is gonna? You think you see anything like that happening tomorrow? Any Ian Book performances?
Ian Book's he's all right. He's a decent quarterback. We saw him like 2 years ago against Clemson. He didn't do anything. So he's just like Jake Fromm, but a little bit faster, in my opinion. And that's the whole Notre Dame offense. They have no explosiveness. It's all just run at you, ball control. They try to be explosive. They try to address it, but they just aren't. So, yeah, I think Clemson's got way better athletes.
Yeah. I say super close game, really, really tight game. I can see Clemson pulling ahead a little bit at the end. I'm talking back and forth throughout, and then Clemson might win by a touchdown, 10 points, something like that. I'm going to go ahead and say 28-38, something like that.
Has
the whole game. And
has anyone looked at this? Sorry, has anyone looked at the spread or anything yet for the game?
I think
Or
we're
no?
up by a touchdown, maybe.
Who has it? I'm gonna look it up. I forgot it. I looked it up, but then I forgot. Let me see.
I want to see if I think that they'll cover or not.
Clemson is favored by 5.5. Clemson minus 5.5.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna add one little quick thing. I think it's really important for Notre Dame from their side is to not fall behind by multiple scores, because if Ian Book has to throw the ball for them to win, if they fall behind, they have to throw. I think it could possibly get ugly.